Why is it that Russia will never be able to defeat the US? One of the most significant, crucial, and strategic relations between nations in the world is that between the United States and Russia. Nuclear safety and security, non-proliferation, anti-terrorism, and space exploration are all issues that both countries are interested in. With the Russian invasion of Ukraine, relations reached its lowest point since the Cold War. The mutual sanctions placed since 2014 were dramatically expanded by the US and its partners following the invasion. The US continues to be the top military superpower in the world, while Russia clings to the second position. Sanctions related to the annexation of Crimea have devastated Russia's economy and drained its resources for almost a decade. Russian professionals, entrepreneurs, academics, and artists have been slowly migrating out of the country over time to find better opportunities. The lack of economic diversification is a severe vulnerability for Russia, and the global decline in oil prices has further exacerbated the country's economic troubles. The technological gap between the United States and Russia is growing. American economic growth and diversification are still strong, and as a result, it's less vulnerable than Russia to economic disruption brought on by societal change, technical innovation, and armed conflict. A large population is crucial in a protracted conflict, because without it, there are no reinforcements and an economy is far more vulnerable to mass conscription and casualties. With a population of almost 335 million compared to Russia's 142.3 million, the US has a higher demographic lead than Russia's population. While Russia only has around 69.7 million conscripts available, the US has close to 147.4 million conscripts available to fight in a horrific, multi-year conflict. Of those prospective conscripts, only about 122.3 million in the US are physically capable of serving in combat, compared to only 46.7 million in Russia. Also, due to its demographic crisis, Russia only has 1.3 million youth of military age, compared to 4.4 million in the United States. With 1.39 million troops on active duty, the United States military has a larger force ready for battle, compared to 850,000 active military personnel in Russia. And compared to Russia's 250,000 reserve personnel, the United States retains a sizable 442,000 reserve personnel. While Russia only spends $154 billion on its military, the US spends $770 billion. Despite the fact that salaries and benefits in the US are far higher than in Russia, the US nevertheless maintains a significant competitive advantage. The United States has a fleet of 13,247 aircraft, which is more than 3 times bigger than Russia's fleet of 4,173 aircraft. With 1,957 fighter aircraft compared to Russia's 772, America's fighter force is more than twice as vast. With 783 versus 739, the US and Russia both have roughly the same number of attack aircraft, although this is mainly because the US favors multi-role aircraft over specialized attack platforms. Even non-attack aircraft in the US fleet can successfully execute air-to-sea-to-ground strike missions due to a huge technological advantage in munitions. The United States Air Force and Navy are better equipped to exploit air superiority by conducting destructive fire support operations against Russian ground targets due to the imbalance in numbers and capabilities. With 982 transport planes in operation compared to 445 in Russia, the US has a clear advantage in the ability to move troops and equipment around a battlefield swiftly. With 774 special mission platforms in the field compared to 132 for Russia, the US has a clear logistical, intelligence, and technological advantage. And with the United States' 45,193 armored vehicles compared to Russia's 30,122, both the US and Russia place a large emphasis on mechanized infantry. Even when it comes to effectively delivering fire on a target, American air-based fire support is significantly superior to Russia's massive amounts of artillery, of which it is over 3 times that of the US. Russia traditionally has focused more on land battle power in preparation for possible conflicts in Europe against NATO and in Asia. It would not be able to provide air fire support to troops in an invasion by the US. The U.S. puts much of its military focus on mobile airborne platforms since it isn't threatened by invasion. The Russian Navy has more ships than the U.S. Navy, but the U.S. very clearly has far greater capabilities. The U.S. has 11 aircraft carriers deployed, and its carrier air forces alone are larger than the combined air fleets of most other countries. Russia has only one aircraft carrier, which is currently in dry dock. Russia does have a larger submarine force than the U.S., with 70 submarines active as opposed to 68 for the U.S. However, there have been issues with the Russian submarine fleet's modernization. With the addition of the Virginia-class attack submarine, the U.S. submarine fleet is continuously expanding and becoming, overall, more capable than Russian vessels. With 92 guided missile destroyers compared to Russia's 15, the U.S. has an advantage over Russia. Russia reports having 12,420 tanks, which is almost twice that of the U.S., but this number is inflated because it includes those kept in storage. In reality, it only has around 3,000 tanks suitable for combat, the majority of which are T-72s, which are inferior to American M1 Abrams. Russia has the advantage in hypersonic weapons, but its weak economy means it is unable to produce them in large amounts, as is the case with its Su-57 fighter as well. In addition to its numerical military advantages in comparison to Russia, the United States is one of the original 12 members of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. The entire range of types of weapons systems can be designed, developed, maintained, and produced by the U.S. defense industry, and sure enough, the U.S. military's arsenal is virtually entirely made up of domestically made weapons systems. In terms of exporting weapons, the United States leads the globe. So, if Russia and the U.S. went to war, would Russia stand any chance? Subscribe, folks.